Audio's live, which means we're live,
Fantastic.
which means we can make this, I guess, more formal. Oh, can that not be said? Okay, so we had some screen feedback there. I always start a live stream, even if there's no one in the audience, just being like, "Hi, welcome to this live stream." If you don't know already, my name is Scott, and I study media literacy games. What does that mean? What does that do? Before I get into that, I'm going to just say I have two people sitting here with me today. I have, well, why don't I let you guys introduce yourselves in case you want to give, like, maybe you want to use a fake name for the internet. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay,
so
okay.
I'll let you introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Owen Hellum. That's a real name, I promise. Yeah, I'm undergraduate, Bachelor of Computer Science here in Computation Arts, and I'm happy to be here.
Owen's really smart. The stuff with VR, we were just talking about it before.
Thank you. And games.
Yeah, and games, of course. Sorry, yes.
I'm Leo Morales. My parents made up that name, so totally made up. And yeah, I'm an undergrad in computation arts.
Amazing.
Here at Concordia. Yeah.
Leo's also really cool. They just did an expo that I actually wasn't able to go to, but I heard really good things about.
It was pretty cool.
I heard it was really cool. Yeah.
It'll happen again.
I can't wait. Keep me posted. Keep me posted. Just so you guys know, I have the chat up here, which is why my eyes are going to keep moving over here. But I'm here to play games with you. We were talking briefly, but just for the purposes of you understanding why we're here and what I'm doing, my dissertation research explores how we can talk about disinformation in effective ways, specifically through games. And so the first part of that is looking at what kind of games exist out there and what are they doing well and what are they doing poorly. So for anyone who's currently on the Twitch, you can go back through some of my clips, or you're welcome to go online and find them, where I've gone through a lot of video digital games that exist online. And I've played them and analyzed them using a framework that we'll use a little bit of for the board games today. And we're kind of just looking at what are these games doing in relationship to talking about either disinformation or talking about how to find the truth online. How do you find your sources? How do you fact check? How do you cite those kind of things? And so we're going to play these board games today. I'll give you a brief on them, but the idea is that I'm also trying to come into them a bit blind. So I haven't played any of these games before. I've read their rules once for the purposes of kind of knowing how to play, but we're going to read through them again together to make sure we understand how to play, because part of this is how accessible are these games if we just print them out at home and play them, which is what this one is today.
Sure.
Right on. Right on.
Yeah. So do you guys have any questions about that before we get started? No?
Good.
Okay. So this is Graduation. This is the game we're going to start with today. It's a board game, as you can see. It's a print and play board game. So if you just type in Graduation Information Literacy Game, you can find this. It visually doesn't look insanely exciting. It looks very much like a very traditional board game. And I don't think it's going to be super complex to play, given that the rules document is actually just one sheet of paper. Which, honestly, for some board games, that's a success alone. And or a concerning sign, depending on how complex of a game you want to play. I'm going to just quickly read some of the goals behind Graduation. And so they're big why board games is that traditional ways of teaching information literacy to undergrad students, so you're the target audience for this game, just so you know,
Fantastic.
have not been able to reach and engage all students. However, and I quote, games are engaging and encourage peer learning to help students make connections. And so that's their pitch, is that this will be really engaging for you as undergrads. Okay, so keep that in mind as we play through it.
Sure.
Because I'm curious if that holds true. If this isn't, I mean, you guys also study and play games in some capacity, so maybe you have a little biases there, but we'll see and we'll find out. This game is for 2 to 6 players, okay? And I'm just going to go through the rules sheet today so we know how to play. So preparation: print the game board and print and cut out all the cards. I already did that. Prepare the game tokens. We were doing this before you got here, but you get to choose what color would you like to play as.
Oh, I want orange.
Orange.
Sure.
Okay, here's your orange. And what dice would you like?
Good
For the record, you can play this game with 1 die, but I own enough dice that I thought I'd do fun for each header.
I want this gray and multicolored one.
Oh. I'm gonna take this one, and I'll take just so the colors, the colorblind. Okay, perfect. Actually, I think no, green's good. Okay. I also printed off the discussion guide, which we'll briefly go through at the end, but we're not going to do that now. Objective, be the first person to circle the board 4 times. So we can put all of our tokens on the start section. How do you play this game? So we take turns by rolling our die and moving around the board based off the number of the die. So a very traditional board game model. If you land on a blank space or the start space, your turn ends there. If you land on an action space, take an action card to read out loud. If you land on a knowledge space, take the knowledge cards, and players among themselves can decide whether to share knowledge cards, keep them individually, or trade them. Okay. If you land on a quiz space, another player takes a quiz card and reads it out loud, and the players whose turn it is attempts to answer. If they're correct, they move forward 3 spaces. If not, they stay where they are.
Nice.
Okay.
For trading action, trading knowledge, is the knowledge revealed?
I'll read it word for word.
Sure.
If a player lands on a knowledge space, they take a knowledge card. Players can decide among themselves whether to share knowledge cards, keep them individually, or trade them. So my guess is that you would read it yourself first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then choose to reveal it. And then play continues until someone has circled the board 4 times and graduates. Each round is like a year of undergrad is the idea.
Okay.
Wow.
So hopefully it's not as hard as a regular undergrad, or maybe it will be. We'll find out. And then we'll use the discussion guide to talk about the game after. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't say who starts first, so why don't we have the person who was here last start first?
Okay, awesome.
Fantastic.
Wow.
6.
Going crazy at the start of term.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Nothing happens.
Nice.
That was so exciting. I'm on the edge of my
semester,
seat.
Smooth sailing.
I'm gonna roll here. I also rolled a 6. I'm catching right back up to you.
Nice,
Let's see if we can make it 3 in a row.
Oh, you get a quiz card. Would you like to read the quiz card?
Of course.
Okay, you have to answer the question, or
Okay. Which law regulates what the government of Canada can do with people's personal information? You have 3 options. A, the Copyright Act. B, the Privacy Act. C, the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Documents Act.
I think it's an act. I know that much. If I had to guess for you.
So is those 3 options?
Those 3 options.
Okay. May I read the card?
No,
Yeah.
because I think the answer is bolded.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so if you read the card, you'll know the
Yeah.
answer. But you can read it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can maybe cover it like that. Which law regulates what the government of Canada can do with people's personal information?
Okay. Can you read the options again?
Copyright Act, Privacy Act, Personal Information Protection and Electronics Document Act.
I'm gonna go with B, Privacy Act.
You are correct.
Oh, wow. So you get to move
Nice,
forward 3 more
nice.
spaces. Wow, this is heating up already.
There we go.
Okay. And we
And
can
I'm
just...
guessing this gets discarded.
Yeah, just put it in
right?
discard pile. Yeah, outside the board.
Awesome.
That works. Perfect. Okay. 4. Would you like me to move? You can reach your card.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow, we're having exciting turns
Yeah,
here.
I know.
Right? Let's hope. Let's maybe get a card here. Let's see. 1. That's not me.
Ooh.
An action card. Okay. You pay about $6,000 a year for 4 years and earn an undergraduate university degree. You have received specialized knowledge, critical thinking skills, and the opportunity to pursue a career that is interesting and lucrative. Move forward 5 spaces.
Wow.
Already finished my
So
degree.
cool.
Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Just keep it here. What do we got? 4?
2, 3, 4. Nothing.
Nothing.
All
Okay.
right, all
I
right.
really love the nothing things. 2. I think you're taking a movie.
yeah.
Okay.
We're all together.
We're all hanging out. It's like, we got through like most of the first term, and we're all like having an end of term
Yeah.
party
Sure,
right now is what's happening. If we're building a narrative into this. Ooh, okay.
Making connections,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Cool. With 3 people, it passes quickly.
It does go pretty fast. Ooh, read your
Action.
action card. What will it be?
You are a researcher. The leading academic journal in your field requires you to sign over the copyright on your research in order to be published with no payment in return. Move back 1 space.
Ooh,
That's rough.
that's really rough.
Sheesh.
Yeah, man.
Damn. 2.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Big turn,
Cool.
big turn.
Yeah.
Making moves. Ooh, I'm rolling high. But nothing's happening. Okay.
2, 3, Still nothing. All right.
If you ever roll an even number, nothing happens.
1. Knowledge.
Oh.
Oh,
So
yeah.
This is the secret one.
That's right. No one can see it.
I have no idea what those cards do.
Okay, cool. That's informative.
So you can choose
That's
to
informative.
share it, keep it, or trade it.
I guess I'll share it, you know,
Okay.
just because that seems like an interesting
Okay.
choice.
What's the knowledge?
So
you're
it turns
sharing?
out that public domain works are not covered by copyright, usually because the period of time for copyright protection has passed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's literally just knowledge.
Yeah,
it's just
literally
information.
just a fact, just
Oh,
a
yeah,
fun
we
fact.
got a fun. Would we call that a fun fact?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mickey Mouse is going to be.
Sure. Yeah.
Mickey Mouse is exiting copyright protection soon.
That's true. Yeah. Isn't there a whole thing that Disney's like fighting that too for?
Oh,
what I
yeah,
expect, so.
right?
Where they like don't want Mickey to.
And it's like every time that's about to enter the public domain, right?
There's always something. What do you got? Would you like to keep it, share it, or trade it?
Take a sec to read it.
There doesn't seem to be points for having knowledge cards.
Just like in real life.
Yeah, like if there's if there's no incentive to share it, maybe you'll hold on to it for pure intrigue value.
Maybe it like helps answer quiz questions.
Could be.
that come up.
Oh, I bet that's what it is.
That's my.
That's
if I had to
right,
guess
that's
why they're
right.
in the game,
Yeah.
that or they just like pro life, let's randomly throw in facts. Okay.
1. Oh man.
I mean, if this was Monopoly, that's free parking. Just
Yeah.
saying. 2. Can someone move me 2? Thank you.
No.
I don't think I think I've won 1 card. Let's go. 6. That's what you like to see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another knowledge. All right.
Wow, cool.
Okay. Are these related? No. Okay.
I did shuffle them briefly.
Yeah. Okay. Nobody has any knowledge that we can trade. I'll reveal
Well,
this.
no.
I could trade you this
Yeah.
knowledge.
Sure.
But
You want
you
to trade
already
this
know it.
knowledge?
Sure, I'll
No,
trade you some knowledge.
Let's reveal this one.
Okay. Reveal your knowledge.
Did you know copyright covers books, music, painting, sculpture, films, computer programs, databases, advertisements, maps, technical drawings, and more?
I didn't know. Well, actually, I know I did know that, but
Yeah.
now I know even more.
Yeah.
Computer programs.
Now I explicitly know it.
Yeah, exactly. Just waiting for it to cover memes, actually.
Wow.
When the day when
Moving slowly.
copyright covers memes. Oh, move me 1 and give me an action card. Let's go. You are a student. This is correct. You're writing a paper that's due tomorrow and you don't have time to request an interlibrary loan. I feel like I've actually had this moment happen in my life. You find an article that has the exact information you need, but your library doesn't have access to it. Go back 1 space.
Ooh, tough.
I feel the pain. I feel pain by that. Interlibrary loans.
What are you gonna do?
4.
No, that's not me. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Take
All
your
right.
action.
You are a researcher.
Oh.
The journal that you published in allows you to freely distribute post-prints, so you share it on social media, your website, and a preprint archive that's popular in your field to make sure that anyone who's interested in it can access it. Go forward 1 space.
Wow. So you made it through
Cool.
your first year of undergrad.
Nice, congrats.
Wow. Does it feel like you've been through a year of undergrad?
Well, my first year of undergrad was cut short somewhat by COVID, so it feels nice
Okay.
to get a full year.
Nice.
That's awesome. You moved 5.
Yeah, I moved 5.
1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
Ooh, I'm gonna ask you a
get
question.
quizzed.
I'm gonna ask you this.
Oh no.
Oh, this is just a yes or no question.
Okay.
Is it possible to use copyrighted work?
Yes.
You are correct. But there's like a catch.
Oh right. Yeah,
You
okay.
must get permission or use it in a way that's considered fair deal.
Awesome.
So
Yeah,
that's
fair.
you get to move forward 3 more spaces when you get a question right.
3. Nice.
Wow, we're all catching up to each other. It's a close game.
Feels like all of these facts and questions are copyright related.
Yeah,
So far.
I mean, it is an information literacy game. Is this one specifically? But there's
That
a
was me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're which color are you?
I'm green. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Action. Okay. feel like I've only gotten action. You are a freelance reporter. Ooh. One company owns most of the newspapers in your country, and you're trying to publish a report about its questionable business practices. Go back 3 spaces.
Wow.
Love that.
I guess you didn't succeed.
I literally am back where I was 2 turns in a row. Loving life over here.
All right, let's see if we can capitalize on this.
Ooh.
Nope.
Pulling out ahead, big lead.
Sweet.
Ooh.
5, yes.
I feel like 2 turns ago you were like a mile
3,
away.
4,
Mhm.
5. Oh,
Take your
action.
action.
Yeah. Let's see if this is good. You live in China, where the government limits your access to the internet, inhibiting your ability to find and share information. Go back 5 spaces. Ooh, tough.
That's right back to where you were, I think.
You rolled a 5 this turn.
Do I get another knowledge
5.
card? Oh no.
No, because
right.
you were.
Right.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Ah, nice counting.
It's a tough blow for you.
Yeah.
Interesting card. Okay. 3. 1, 2, 3. Action. Let's hope it doesn't push me back 3 spaces again. You had to get a job in high school to help support your family, and you never tutors or homework help. That's a weird sentence. You didn't do well in school and assumed you weren't smart enough for university. Go back 5 spaces.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm never gonna finish this first year. Every time I round it out to second year, something's catching up.
Yeah, the actions are
retake
tough.
a course or something.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
1. Okay.
Knowledge. Oh my goodness, I'm getting so much knowledge.
You're so knowledgeable.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You're gonna have some secret knowledge
This
over
is a
there.
kind of a cool one, actually. I think I'm going to share this one.
Okay.
According to ACRL, I don't know what that means.
I can pull up the
4 dimensions of the value of knowledge are as a commodity, as a means of education, as a means of influence, and as a way to understand the world.
Oh wow. That's fun.
Interesting.
ACL, just so you know, it's an information literacy framework that's used a lot by libraries.
Cool.
That's why there's mentions of libraries and copyright systems.
4.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Okay. Maybe you and I will
Seems
finally
promising.
move through our first year. No, just kidding.
Quiz.
Okay. Who's asking? I think you haven't asked a
Yeah.
question yet. Would you like to quiz me? I'm really bad at trivia, so this is gonna go well.
Okay, so this is an open-ended one.
Mm-hmm.
What is a Creative Commons license?
I mean, a Creative Commons license determines how open and available for redistribution your product is. So depending on the license, other people can reuse it, or they have to then follow the copyright laws to then not use it.
I think that's
good
pretty
enough?
accurate. How about I provide the answer and then you can be our judge?
Okay.
Creative Commons licenses are copyright licenses that allow creators to waive some protections, making their works available to others with fewer restrictions.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that, the
In some
choice of
capacity.
whether it can be used or not and under what conditions.
Yeah, okay.
I
Yeah.
think that was good.
Yeah.
It's always a headache looking at the licenses if you ever have done it.
Yeah.
There's like so many.
There are.
So many. You can spend days just reading them all.
So you
ahead,
move.
right?
Oh, I'm
3?
in 3 spaces. I'm out in
1,
green. That's you.
2.
That's you.
Oh,
Right.
right.
We can't be cheating now. The game's
Yeah,
too
right.
intense. Okay. You got this, Owen. Keep
3.
the lead.
1, 2, 3. All right, nothing.
I feel like you did not get very far in the time that we
No,
were getting sent
I
back constantly.
moved around a
1,
bit.
2, 3.
Ooh.
Action. You're a researcher.
Okay.
You publish in an open access journal,
Nice.
so your research is accessible to all. Go forward 1 space.
Nice.
Wow, good job
Cool,
making your research
cool,
accessible.
cool.
Though I really feel like you only get 1 move forward for that, and then when you can't find a library book, you have to move back like 3. Okay. I'm not bitter. 1, 2, 3. Knowledge. Finally, I learned something. I will share this. Copyright is the collection of rights that creators have over the literary or artistic works they create. Just so you know, that's what copyright is.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Cool.
All right. 6. 6.
Okay.
Nice.
Getting pretty far.
Yeah, no, it's quite a lead you are. You're like the overachiever at school who's just like got all the assignments done for
3.
term.
Oh no, a quiz.
You ready?
Oh my god.
Okay. This is once again a yes or no, but they want a little bit more than just yes
Okay.
or no. So Are all Canadians equally likely to have access to high-speed internet?
I'm guessing not because of socioeconomic differences.
You are correct. The answer is no. Indigenous and visual minority Canadians, people who live in rural or northern communities, and low-income Canadians are some groups who are less likely to have access to quality internet services. It is a problem. It is a problem, not just in Canada, though.
No.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this is a Canadian game.
Okay.
Because that didn't hint at it. So did you guys move forward though? 3 spaces. Okay. Given the nature of this game, I feel like it's okay to end once we all make it past the start one more time.
Yeah,
See whoever's
sure.
the furthest. I don't know if we need to finish this one, given it seems pretty repetitive at this point. You know what I mean?
All right, this is a yes or no question with a bit of an elaboration. Is the conception of copyright and intellectual property the same in all cultures?
I would say no. I would say that different cultures have different understandings of ownership.
Yeah, it's literally no. Different cultures have different ideas about ways creation and ideas can be owned.
Yeah, okay. I'd be very surprised if that was a universal thing. Let's go. Catching back up.
Nice.
Alrighty.
So we got 2.
Cool.
It's always like anticlimactic when your turn ends in like this
Yeah,
movie.
it seems weird that there's some empty spaces.
Quiz.
There's so many.
Well, it's weird because like I think it would really the flow gets.
No,
wait,
somebody
what am I
needs to
doing?
read it to me.
The flow gets really stagnated if you have a thing every turn. Ooh, this is just. Do you know the answer? By default, who owns the copyright of a work?
The creator? Oh, nice.
The original creator.
That's
1, 2,
right.
3. Oh, it's a tie. It's a tie for the front.
Oh.
On the edge of my seat. Wait, now I'm on the edge of my seat, ready to go. I gotta catch back up.
All right. Okay. 2, 3. Quiz.
Quiz.
I wonder if
Good
there's like a
quiz.
game experience for this where one person just always gets a bad card and just consistently never makes it through
I mean,
the first
probably
turn.
the best roll is just like the furthest.
You
empty.
start and you only roll even numbers, and then you'll just make it through. Yeah.
Okay, so this is just something you have to know. Do countries have to treat works created in other places the same as they treat works created by their own citizens?
Wow, that's a really interesting question.
I feel like the answer is not going to be as interesting and multidimensional as your mind is going to go to right now.
I mean, I think so. It makes sense that they would. It's like they have to treat criminals the same way, so why not works?
Okay,
My answer is
cool.
yes.
Okay. There's like a reference to a specific reason why, and
Oh,
I think it's related to what you're saying, so I'm just gonna read it.
Yeah.
sure.
The answer is yes. All countries that have signed the Berne Convention are required to do so. So there are kind of like laws in place.
It's
like
a bit
there
of a
are
trick
for-
question,
Yeah.
though, no?
Yeah.
Who's all signed the burned
It might not be all
Berne
countries.
Convention.
the Berne Convention?
Yeah.
See, I'm not an expert on the ACLR framework and the things associated with it, which is I think this would be more in that field. I don't know
Right.
enough about that,
So.
but that's
yeah.
interesting. But you're correct, so you get to
Yeah.
move forward.
Cool.
Congratulations on such an achievement.
Thank you.
Right.
You're up, Leo. Oh,
Six.
always exciting.
Yes.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're keeping ties right there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like struggling. Oh, never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Cool.
Right.
I mean, I can't let you guys
Catching
get too far
catching
ahead,
up.
you know?
Cool. Just a 2.
1.
Ooh.
Action. Oh, I feel like.
Wait, wait,
this is
wait,
gonna-
wait,
oh,
that's
no,
me.
right,
Your
right.
knowledge.
Oh, right. Knowledge. Oh, cool.
You want to
Cool.
trade?
Yeah, we've never traded knowledge.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, keep your secrets.
Secret knowledge.
We have some obscure piece of information that you don't know.
This is true. My turn?
I think so, yeah.
Beautiful. Let's hope it's positive this time. You are a student. You're writing a paper that's due tomorrow. You find an article that has the exact information you need, but your library doesn't have access to it. I feel like I had this situation before. You Google the author and find their ResearchGate page. There's a version of it posted there. Go forward one space.
Hey, that's
Oh,
good.
that worked out better than the library alone. But have you guys ever been on ResearchGate?
Yeah, you message somebody and never hear
Yeah,
from them.
ResearchGate does not get me the paper like 95% of the time. I don't know.
Yeah.
That is a weird thing to promote in that way.
All right.
It's Europe. Oh,
6.
that's how you take a lead.
4, 5, 6.
It's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry about
You
that.
killed me.
Destroying the pieces. It's clearly too intensive a
2,
game.
3, 4.
Oh, have some action card. Here we go. What do you got? What's the action today?
You are a researcher. The
Okay.
journal that you publish in allows you to freely distribute postprints, but you didn't read your author agreement carefully, so you assume you have no right to share your work with anyone. Go back one space.
Uh-oh.
Oof,
no.
feels bad. That's
Gotta read the
Man.
fine.
yeah. You gotta read the fine print. How often I do that is we don't need to. Wow. Does
Knowledge.
anybody want to trade? Wait. Maybe I want my knowledge. Would anybody like to trade for this knowledge? It's
want to
about
trade.
it is about copyright and money.
That's bad knowledge.
Ooh.
This is real juicy.
That's
This
good
is better
knowledge.
knowledge, actually.
No.
Well-
100%. This is.
This one has to do with money, so
It has to do with money.
This one has to do with
it's
rights.
valuable.
Right. Oh, I think rights are more important than money. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, you kind of baited me. That's not really a right. It's not-
It was your choice.
You're right. You're right. You're up. You got this, Owen. Well, actually, no. Roll low. What am I talking about?
1, 2, 3.
Ooh, will this win the game or will this lose the game?
In your country, the government carefully controls the flow of information and the lives of citizens. You don't really realize that other ways of living and organizing society are possible. Go back 5 spaces.
Oh,
3,
wow.
4, 5.
The game's fixing the discrepancy of the lead there.
2,
Oh, wow.
2.
You guys are always hanging out this game.
Yeah.
I'm just lagging behind. Well, just kidding.
anymore.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a
Uh,
party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You roll a 6, you make it all the way to year 2.
That's a 3.
Oh, but your quiz will put you there
Quiz.
if you get it correct.
Oh, okay. So another one where there's just one answer. Name 4 things you could create that would be covered by copyright.
Hold on. Hold on. I've got the answer right here. Books, music, painting, sculpture.
Wow, look at how that connected.
Yeah,
There we
perfect. You
go.
know, papers you write for class, videos, podcasts, songs, drawings, photographs, crafts, digital art, blogs, etc.
I think crafts is in there.
Yeah.
Next time I use something with Play-Doh, I'm gonna copyright it.
And I move forward 3, right? And I win.
You've made it to the end first.
Wow,
There we go.
congratulations.
Technically, we would do 2 more laps, but I feel like we understand how the game works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got a good sense of the content.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what I typically try to do, because a lot of educational games are designed to be used in classes, is I try not to play them more than 30 minutes if the core game loop has been established.
Right.
Okay.
right,
Which
right.
I would argue it has been
Yeah,
established.
Totally.
For those who don't know what a core gameplay loop is, it's the basic mechanics of the game that allow it to keep going. So we can put the cards back. But technically we're not done because there are discussion questions. Now, I feel like this is meant to be like a full lesson that would take hours, and so
Yeah.
we don't need to like discuss these the whole time. Why don't we each choose one discussion question that we like, and then we'll ask them. I'll go first. And I feel like, honestly, some of these questions are things that I would ask us anyways. So, yeah, some of these are definitely just questions I will ask you all. So maybe I'll just start at the top. Think about the cards you received, okay? How do they relate to the value of information? And did you struggle to see the connection of any cards to kind of the learning goals of the game? And to remind you of the learning goals of the game, Graduation is a board game that talks about information literacy from the ACRL framework, which we're not really supposed to know about, but I think one of us pulled up a card that actually mentioned what the framework was. So yeah, how did this game show you the cards in relationship to the value of information?
I mean, it provided the information, whether the learning was active. I mean, I think that the last moment there when I actually was able to use a card, that was active learning rather than passive learning. But it felt just like gathering information a little bit that I didn't have applications for, but maybe if we'd played longer, we actually could have used some of the knowledge.
More of the knowledge cards.
True. I feel kind of the same way. The mechanic of gathering knowledge and trading knowledge felt a little bit
Unnecessary.
disconnected or a little bit pointless.
Yeah.
Until you get to use that knowledge, right, directly.
Yeah, that was like a one-time occurrence, and there's a lot of knowledge cards.
There are, yeah. I mean, it fits into the ethos of the game, but it's perhaps not as functional as intended.
Well, on my end of things then, I mean, you guys work in the game space. How would you maybe adjust the knowledge card space to make it more fit into the nature of the game?
I mean, if we're talking about gamification, there's always, you know, your points and leaderboard and all that stuff that you can always sort of inject into a game. And pretty easily here, you could make it like you gain points for how much knowledge you have, or like you can at a certain junction, if you have an X amount of knowledge, you get to advance faster or something like that.
I don't hate the idea of a point system. I'm like, I have two immediate thoughts. One of like, you just give everyone like 5 knowledge cards to start, so they probably have something that helps them on the early quizzes.
I like that.
Or what I would do, because if they're meant to just only work with the quiz cards, then why not just have the quiz cards be like, you can spend a knowledge card to learn like a hint for the answer.
That's a good.
And then your knowledge is always specific to the quiz.
Yeah. I like using knowledge as a resource.
Yeah.
Like that you can trade and gain. I thought that was good.
Yeah, I don't know how you would trade it though if it was like you spend it to do a quiz. Like, why would I ever want to trade?
I'm also thinking of different having different types of knowledge and quiz related to that knowledge, so that there's a little bit more of a connection on like scarcity of resources. Type of thing of like, there seems to be a lot of this type of quiz questions in play, so I better be ready with like the purple knowledge cards.
Yeah,
typing
like
and that would actually encourage trading, because if I already have like a purple one, but you pull a green one, I'd be like, or I have 2 purple and you pull a green, I'll be like, you can have a purple for your green.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? That could. Yeah, I mean, technically these are colored on the back, like they're different colors if you play them, but the knowledge is still all the same thing. Yeah, I think like those are like simple changes that I would make to kind of ground what they're supposed to do a bit better. Okay, I'm just gonna ask the next question on their discussion guide. Were you surprised by any of the cards? Did anything catch you off guard? This is blank. You're welcome to also look through them if you're curious.
Some of the info really did. Like, some of it was quite interesting. Some of it was pretty basic, like information about like what is Creative Commons, like you answered, or what is copyright. Like, obviously the technicals we don't know, but like somewhat obvious. But some of these were kind of cool, like talking about like protecting patents in other countries and stuff.
Yeah,
I think that was probably the most surprising one, the one that like had a piece of information that I didn't know about, and also I guess the ones that kind of like confirmed some assumptions that you had, but weren't necessarily sure that they were like the right assumption. Like the one you had about like whether different cultures have different relationships to ownership. Yeah, that was cool.
No, and I think there's quite like an array of topics. I mean, there was the whole like card on China that I didn't expect to see. Like, I just didn't expect to be like, go back 5 spaces because you are in China. Like, it was pretty much like TLDR. I mean, they gave some reasoning behind it, but it was like, okay. But then like I was just like looking through this one. You have this one here that's like, you crochet as a hobby and make a cute toy cactus, but the pattern is covered by copyright law because you designed it, but you decided to just put it Creative Commons anyways. Right. So like, and then because of that, you get to move forward. So they have a lot of like language of like, if we just give away information for free, it's better for everyone overall. It's like a larger.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier, like only going forward a little bit when you did like share your information, whereas going back quite severely for like something like forgetting to
do your assignment in time.
Yeah, exactly. and which is interesting. And it's somewhat accurate in that how much it benefits you, but I wonder if that's the message it wants to put forward.
Yeah, I mean, it also has this whole message like the high school card, right? Like I wasn't able to ever feel like I was smart enough to go to university, and therefore I go back 5 spaces. I feel like there's a lot of that's a lot to like insinuate in that message that like because I had to get a job in high school and help support my family, I'm not able to go to university. Like that alone is a weird assumption that the card's making. And then also assuming that going to university is like the be all end all of success when it comes to knowledge.
Or that you can't do copyrights or write any research papers.
Yeah, this is like some of these cards here are a bit interesting, or I would disagree with kind of the message that they're giving by tying like a negative to what they're teaching.
Totally.
We actually that's what question 3 is. So we got there. Do we disagree with the result of any action cards? I think we kind of were just talking about that as well. Did you notice any had similar or different results? We kind of just talked about that as well, what you were saying. Are there card ideas that you would want to see in the game?
It'd be neat to see some actual like historical examples of stuff happening, like talking about like this is what it covers, or like this is what copyright covers, this is what patent covers, but like talk about like why certain things were covered, or like try to, I don't know, impart some lesson through showing a historical example, because I think that lets people engage more. Or like talking about like internet in different communities, be like, okay, the internet's slower here, but here's how people are trying to improve it. Or, I don't know, some way to connect it a little bit more to like, I don't know, the average player, or if this is for undergrads or even like younger kids, how do you make them connect with this?
I mean, you're both undergrads. Do you feel like you connected to this? You're technically the target audience for this.
Yes, in that I've done research, but if I didn't do research, I think a lot of this would be pretty foreign to me.
Agreed. Yeah. And I also kind of like want to second that opinion of kind of pushing the conversation forward. I feel like the game is trying to be kind of the monopoly of media literacy, right? Where it presents like a system that is like very punishing and very like insidious in a way, and it tries to make a game out of that is engaging through its punishing mechanics, right? Where I think maybe a more conducive game to effective education would not necessarily lean so heavily on those punishing factors. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a really good point. So, were you going to add something?
No, I was just agreeing.
Like, if I'm looking at this game holistically, which is like the next thing that I was going to do anyways, so we'll put the questions away. It's taking a very binary kind of approach to talking about the subject matter, where I would call this one step up from a quiz game, because it has quizzes, but it does a little bit more than that, which I appreciate. But the actual gameplay doesn't do anything in relationship to what they're trying to teach. Like if they're trying to represent a year of university while going around the board and you're pulling action cards and quiz questions and knowledge questions, did it really feel like a year of undergrad and how you were thinking about your assignments and what you're going? No, right? But you have a bunch of empty spaces that can do that in other ways. You know what I mean? Like you could just have like a space of like you go to like a house party and like what does that mean? Or like, exam period, what does that mean? Right? Like trading your knowledge cards or whatever.
Flavor goes a long way.
Yeah, and it's not here for that. Like I don't feel like I'm grounded in what they're trying to teach me. And then if we're talking like information literacy and copyright, why not include mechanics that kind of have us think about like licenses? Like if you could do that with the knowledge cards themselves, like have the knowledge be something that I created.
Yeah,
and
then copyright cards.
Yeah, and then have copyright be a thing that goes with it. Like I feel like there's better ways to ground what they're doing than just make everything being like facts. Because they're all facts in different ways. Like, this is a fact that you have to guess yes or no or multiple choice for. This is a fact, or this is a situation that is tied to like a kind of a fact, and the knowledge are just facts. Like it's just like regular facts, right? And to me, it's like very much like they took a game mechanic and they took a bunch of information and they just slapped the two together, and they didn't really tie the two together.
Sure.
Right.
Would be like my larger critique of what we're playing here, but. The larger question that I want to sit on is that you are technically the core audience for this, and they made it for you guys because, quote unquote, it's going to be engaging and bring you and your peers together. So think about you and your peers. I can think about me and my peers. I don't think if I said to my friends, hey, you guys want to play graduation, they'd be coming over to come hang out and play. I mean, you two just came, which is to be fair. But I feel like there was a different engagement there.
Yeah, I wouldn't probably played this with friends. I played similar sort of trivia games for like board game nights and stuff like that, and it works, but it's not like something that people would want to come back to. I think this is like a one-off, like, well, we'll try it and learn some trivia and then probably never touch it again.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Now, so like that's the one side I stand on of like, I don't think most people would take an educational game home and play it at home. But if you were in class and you had to learn about ACLR and copyright law anyways, would you rather do this than like a lecture that's going to break it down for you into its components?
Not for too long.
Which one?
This,
Okay.
not either of them, right? Like,
I was like, a long lecture can also be just draining.
but I feel like a lot of this information can be pretty engaging as a lecture, more than as this iteration of the board game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it can be engaging, but like it's not going to provide the full picture, and so maybe some sort of hybrid between the, like playing a couple rounds of this and then doing a lecture to sort of fill in the gaps. That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I use this as like the start of class, we're gonna play this for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna talk about it, and then I'm gonna give my lecture. Maybe that works because it's like a hook. That's not that exciting though, and I feel like it's also relatively long. Like, it took us about 25 minutes to get through 2 circles of the board.
Yeah,
true.
Which, honestly, it's a pretty long time for what this is. Like, for what we're doing and what's happening, it's pretty extensive. Like, it's pretty lengthy for what it's doing. That like, I don't know if I would consider using this a lot.
Yeah, you could just play Trivial Pursuit for 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, like to me, if I was a teacher, as a professor, I don't know if I would use this. If I was like a high school teacher, I might have this in my classroom, and if students like finish work early that day, I'll be like, go grab graduation and like play around kind of thing. But I don't see a ton of use for it outside of that. And then kind of like the general things that I just like look at for every single game is like, what would you define as the learning goal for this game after playing it? Like, what do you think this game taught you or was trying to teach you? I mean, I read what they said online, but sometimes what people say their game's doing versus what it actually does is different. And so what would you say the learning goal is?
I feel it's trying to teach me a bunch of facts in the subject.
What subject?
Information media literacy.
Okay. Just making sure that's what you feel it was.
Yeah. And I feel it's trying to make me aware of the control of information that states can have over information media literacy, and to make me reflect on how inequality affects individuals' like acquisition of knowledge in general.
Yeah, I would agree that it does some of that. I found like the majority of the facts and things it was referring to were like copyright and patents. It felt like it was like protection of information rather than like media literacy, which is sort of two sides of a similar coin, but it could have maybe focused a little bit more on like disinformation or media literacy or inequality rather than just like a patent covers this, you know?
I mean, the thing with this is that anybody could use this model and just slap it for any subject matter.
Yeah.
Because when I look at this, like if I hadn't played it and I had looked at it, which is the thing I did yesterday, I would have guessed that this is a game that's talking about moving through university and the struggles of like figuring out what's true and what's false as you go. That's what would be my guess, because it says graduation and it comes from an information literacy like group. That's my initial guess, right? Then you play it and it really feels much more like trying to teach me that everything I make has value. And therefore, how do I best share that with others? And it's weird that it's like that disjointed in the two. For me, like it's a weird like disjointing between like how it's visualizing what's happening versus like what it's actually doing. Whether or not I would say it succeeds at that is for a later kind of thing. Unless, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, how effective do you think this game is at teaching what it's teaching? 10 being most effective, 1 being not effective at all.
6 maybe, 5.5. Like it teaches the information. Like for me, 5 is like it teaches the information.
Baseline.
And
it's done the job.
And then 6 is like I might remember. Like I'm gonna walk away from today remembering a few facts.
Okay. Let's hope.
Yeah, I would say 5. You know, I was originally thinking like a 4.5, but a 5.
Yeah, I'm sitting around like a 4. I'm not sure that I leave this remembering a lot. Like I'll remember things today, but if I were to like, if you were to ask me next week the things here, I don't know if I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember exactly that amazing piece that I looked. I mean, that's not true. I'm gonna sit on that one card about like high school for a while just because I'm in this research world. But like, I don't think I'm coming away from this like feeling like I learned a lot. Did we find the discussion questions help ground the information that we just went through? So we went through like that list of discussion questions, and now we're kind of just talking about the game more from my research perspective, right? And so a lot of educational games will have like lesson plans or guide questions supposed to ask with them. Do you think that those questions actually helped you better understand what you were learning about in the game?
I think they were very general.
Yeah.
It sounded like a playtest question.
Yeah, they really felt like playtest questions.
It wasn't elaborating on anything else.
No, it was weird because I was reading them. I was like, these are questions that I would ask analyzing the game, but like none of them were like, you know, what aspects of the framework do you see in the cards? Or like, tell me what you learned about copyright in this discussion. I mean, I think the one question of like, what do the action cards do in relationship to like the negatives and positives around it, but I thought that discussion guide was quite poorly put together in my opinion.
I was hoping that they would address the China action card.
I just wanted like more, I feel like I wanted more information and more grounding, and it's just like not there. Okay, any final thoughts? Because the other things that I record are like, I record like where it's from, and the target audience is for, like the very like basic things. Yeah. Do you like the aesthetics of the game? Sorry, that's the last thing I would always forget. I always forget to talk about how pretty the game is. Do you think this is an engaging game from pure looks? Like as the sell pitch of like, this is the mechanics of you roll a die and you move around a board, and this is how it looks like. Is this a sales pitch for you?
I think I remember seeing this font on like a elementary school, like English school presentation, like English class.
Yeah, so this is something I would have used when I was teaching grade 8.
Yeah, not really. I don't think the like the graphic design work and the way the game is presented is particularly engaging.
No, it's not. Honestly, first, so my question, because you're actually both in this field, is like, so for me, if I were to change this game, like the things that I would do differently, we talked about it a little bit with the cards, but like visually and just hook-wise, I mentioned like I would add some spaces to try to make it feel more like you're actually going through university. I think I would just replace all of these from words into symbols. Yeah. So I would, because I find that like words make this much less transferable to other audiences. Yeah. Straight up. I don't know if I'd call it graduation.
No.
It's a weird title for what the game is. But are there other things that you would like change in this? Or want to add in this?
One thing that I really like that the Game of Life actually does, that
the spinner
as opposite the Monopoly. No, not that. I mean, that is.
I love the spinner.
The spinner is great. The spinner is great, but what they do, it's not a box. Game of Life goes like this, and it goes up and over and under things, and that's pure flavor. It does nothing to affect the game. It functionally is a box or a big circle or whatever.
It has like branching paths too, right?
It does have branching. Actually, that's a good idea. Branching paths would be an interesting one.
Yeah, just like geography of the game, get crazy with it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a missed template, and I feel like this is something that was probably made. Like you could make this at the game jam, which this wasn't made at the game jam, but you could, which I think to me is a sign of a game that should have been given more love.
Yep.
Like if I look at your game and it's out there produced, and it was a game jam game, that's different than like if this wasn't a game jam. You know what I mean? Like I could make this on a weekend, like no problem.
Yeah.
I could probably make this in a day. Anyways, cool. So that's that one. We can put the little meeples back in the bin. We have one more game today. Visually, it looks nicer, but we'll see. We'll leave the die out because I'll put them away at the end. But we don't need dice or anything for the next game. So I'm just gonna stack this up, and we'll swap it in. If you guys need to take a small like 5-minute break, you're more than welcome to.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna get some more water.
Yeah. So let's just pull this off the table. To be fair, this is like accessible though. Like you can print this out for like $1.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is at least nice. How's that going for it? I'm gonna show the camera. Is this the camera? This is the camera. Whatever. This is Lamboozled. It's a media literacy card game. So if you bought this, which I did, this is what it looks like. It's a little bit more exciting immediately if we're looking at it. There's like actual art, which makes a difference. It's for 11 plus, 2 to 6 players. So we're right in the sweet spot. It has 100 different cards, and it won a thing. It won. I actually didn't read that fast.
Best empirical research at the American Education Research Association.
Okay, that's interesting.
Whoa.
I'm in a mixed place of I don't know if this game is Canadian or American because it has American ties, but it is purchased out of a Canadian publishing house. So, like I purchased this through Toronto University Press. So I think it's probably got to like both in the team. I read this extremely briefly just so I didn't come into this fully blind for so I kind of knew what to do. So I'm gonna just read through this and we'll try to figure out how this game works together, okay? So, how to play. The game contains 4 types of cards. There are news cards, which are just like news facts. Boom, I mean, I feel like the camera, I moved it as it moves. News cards, so like something like that. There are context cards, which contextualize the news into something. So like we get this news headline, and then it tells us like the source's full website.
Okay.
And then there are 2 different types of cards that are mixed together. There are evidence cards, which are something like this. So like you actually this, and then there are action cards, which let you do a thing.
Okay.
Those are the 4 types of cards in the game. I'll keep them out for our purposes. Actually, you know what I'll do? So I'll put out a second. Put 3. I'll put 3 because I feel like it gives a vibe for how that works. So, gameplay. You use your evidence cards, which are the fake and real ones, to support or challenge each news story. You use your action cards to get more evidence cards or to weaken your opponent's hands. And whether the news is real or fake doesn't actually matter. It's sheep news after all. What matters is having the best evidence for it being real or for it being fake. So we don't actually care if the headline is true or false. We're caring about being able to prove if the headline is true or false. That makes sense so far? To win each round, you'll need to have the highest number of total points in evidence cards that indicate the news is either real or fake. So, I mean, this isn't actually conducive of a round, but see how there's points on here? So whoever has the most points for one side or the other, that will determine its success.
Sure.
Just like in the real world, when judging news stories, you're working with limited information. Each round, your evidence can only come from A, what you see, and B, what you know. So you get 1 point for every evidence a card applies to what you can read on the face-up news card on the table. So 1 point evidence cards apply to what you can read on the face-up news card on the table. I think this is what these are. We already know that.
Okay.
Right, yeah, that's what these are, okay? What you know is 2 point and 3 point evidence cards, which I think, so there's probably 1 point in here, is that what that's telling me? Yeah, there's 1 point.
Oh, okay.
So this is like, particularly these are much more specific, I think, methods. Apply to any face-up context card, these are the context cards, and must match the image on it. So what we're getting here is that like, I could play this card with this context because the sheep's doing the same thing.
Okay.
I couldn't play these 2 because the sheep are doing different things. Does that make sense? But the 1 point cards can always be played.
Okay.
Because it's meant to just address the headline title.
So are we all fighting for the same news source? Do we each?
Yeah, so each round a news source comes out and this comes out, and then we all have our own hands.
Oh, okay.
And then we can play our evidence cards and our action cards to either manipulate our hands or our opponent's hands to make something seem more fake, or technically you can't play this, but let's say I could, to make it more real.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And the action cards
That's an
take
example.
place.
I think it's the same time.
It's from your hand.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um,
And on each turn, you can play either an action card or one of these, right?
Player left of the dealer goes first. That's whatever. On your turn, this is what you can do.
Oh.
On your turn, play an action card if you think it will help your hand, and follow the directions on that card. Then do either B or C below. If you do not have an action card, proceed directly to B or C. So B, you can pick a new card from the evidence deck and then end your turn, or you can submit a piece of evidence. Okay. How do you submit a piece of evidence? Turns continue clockwise until you're ready to submit your evidence with the drop. That's the name of the evidence. You drop your evidence by reading out and placing your card on the table. Only the cards that you're playing as evidence that round, not the other cards that you have in your hand. So whatever you've chosen as evidence. This forces everyone else to drop their evidence too by revealing their own best evidence card. The strongest evidence wins the round.
Okay. So
Okay.
it's sort of like betting in a card game where if you initiate, everybody else has to like reciprocate. Sort of. Like if you drop evidence, everybody else has to drop evidence as well. Is that what it's saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because when you pick a new card from the evidence deck, you can end your turn or you can then submit evidence. So pretty much a round can keep going of people playing action cards and drawing evidence cards until someone drops evidence to prove it.
Okay.
So the round will just endlessly go until someone chooses to drop evidence. So which is honestly, you could drop evidence right away, and if no one has other evidence, then you'll just win the round, right?
right.
So there is like a bit of a gambling side, not gambling, but kind of,
Chance.
yeah,
There's
chance, yeah. The win. To figure out who won, add up the points for all the evidence cards that each player has laid on the table. The player with the highest number of points wins the round.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
okay. If you suspect that someone else's evidence is shaky, so we don't flip them? Wait. When you're ready to submit your evidence with the drop, you drop your evidence by reading out and placing the cards on the table. So they're visible,
Yeah.
so everyone knows they're there. Okay. If you suspect someone else's evidence is shaky, i.e. a 1-point evidence card they play doesn't actually apply to the news card, you can challenge them. You must make a case for why their evidence doesn't apply, and then they can defend themselves. If neither player backs down after arguments are made, all players vote, and in the case of the tie, the player must present their case to a person outside the game who will be acted as tiebreaker. So if someone's like, I think it's specific to these, if someone's like, this doesn't make sense, like you're wrong, then we can debate why we think each other's wrong, and we'll then all three vote, which means because we have 3 people, there'll always be we'll always
Right.
have a winner or loser in that case.
Like, well, in this particular case, this is just like an announcement of somebody's running for mayor. And then this is
Yeah.
like, the example here is this story is clearly meant to make you feel outraged. That
Yeah,
would not apply.
exactly. You could challenge
Right,
someone on
right.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
that makes sense.
There's an
Okay.
element of like role playing here.
Yeah, and when you win the round, you don't get points per the card. The numbers on the cards just determine who wins the round. You just get 1 point for winning a round.
Okay.
Player with 5 points wins the game.
Okay.
Okay. Start a new round. Reshuffle all the evidence cards and deal each player 5 new ones. And reshuffle all the context cards and play four new ones on the table. Are there 4 contexts every time? Well, there's 4. There's not just one. There's 4 of these every
Okay.
time.
And so you can play
Oh,
different
wow.
different evidences for different contexts.
I thought 1 was going to be really tight. I was like, there's
Yeah.
going to be not a lot of matching evidence. But if there's 4 every round, that makes way more sense.
That
Okay.
makes sense.
Flip over a news card. The winner of the previous round goes first. Okay, so we kind of understand how this works. Maybe we'll figure it out as we go. If we have more
Yeah,
questions,
we'll
we can
see.
reference the rules.
Yeah.
But I feel like I kind of have an idea of how this game works myself. How do you two feel right now?
Yeah.
Rules seem
Sort
to
of,
kind of make
yeah.
sense.
So if there's like
Do you want to shuffle these? Do you
4
want to
of
shuffle these?
these context cards,
Yeah.
you can play one evidence card for each of them, or do you have to choose which one you're like?
So I
Whatever
think when
you're
you
doing.
drop your evidence, you put it all down at the same time. Yeah, so when you, pretty much the rounds go of like, we keep going around and we keep pretty much playing action cards and drawing evidence cards. And once someone decides to submit their evidence, everyone has to submit all their evidence. So it's
Okay.
like all at the same time, everyone submits their evidence. But you can submit, as this makes it sound, as much evidence as you have.
Okay.
Does that make
Cool.
sense?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So do we give those a shuffle? Just so we have a different card. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm feeling ready to go. 5 here. 5 here. 5 to me. We flip over our news headline. So our news headline today is Rams star quarterback faked injury according to anonymous friend. This was posted on ramsfever.co by s.hoofsmith. And the context for this are, there's 4 of them. So there's reverse image search. Information available this round is reverse image searching. The source's reputation profile, the evidence trail, and expert opinion. are the four, what's the term for these? Contexts of the news story today. Okay? Does that make sense? Are you feeling okay? So the person who goes first would be you, Owen, because you're to the left of me. So what you can do on your turn is you can play an action card if you think it will help you. Then you can follow its directions, or you can just pick a new card from the evidence text, or you can just choose to submit your evidence right away.
Okay. Even the +1s are evidence that would cause everybody to put stuff down. Okay. I'm going to do a little cantrip here and just draw 2.
No, you're not. You're shut down.
What?
I cancel your action card's effects.
Okay. Is that my turn?
I guess no. That's step 1. Then you can draw a card or submit your evidence. Well, and or submit your evidence.
Okay.
You can draw a card and end your turn, passing it to Leo, or you can draw a card and then submit your evidence. I just had to deny you because I drew it right away.
I'm trying to think like how do my cards apply to this, and also how do my cards apply to this?
So they apply to these if they match the symbol.
Yes, no, but I'm thinking like if I play something and somebody tries to like refute my claim, right? I'm trying to think like how do I want to just keep gathering more information or not? Sorry.
No, you're clearly there's a lot of choice here. I mean, immediately the game is giving us more choice.
I'm gonna draw. Understand my turn.
Draw on your turn. So you're up first. You can choose to play an action card, or you can draw. You can skip the action phase and just draw.
I'm gonna select a player and take 1 card from their hand without looking at what
take
they
it from
have.
me?
Yeah.
Take it.
This one.
I don't like that. It was rude. It was rude and hurtful.
And then I can continue by
drawing. Yep.
Drawing, right? Okay, I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to hack you and take my hand back. Select a player and trade hands with them.
Oh no.
So I want my card back. Have those 2 cards.
Pretty good.
And then I'm going to draw a card. And then I'm going to submit evidence because I know what his hand is.
Isn't it draw a card or submit evidence?
No, pick a new card from the evidence deck, then end your turn or submit your evidence.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to submit evidence. I'm going to submit this. Wait, is it all to the one side or the other side?
Oh, yeah, I think you have to reveal it.
Yeah, I will. I'm double checking. If this is about fake and I do another one that's about true, do they counter each other out?
Yeah, that's a good question.
No, it's whoever just has the highest number of points related to the story.
Right.
All right.
So it doesn't matter what side you're arguing for.
And remember, you get a whole new hand next round.
Yeah.
So if you have something to submit, I recommend submitting it.
But so it wouldn't be worth it to like hold some stuff back. You just submit as many as you can.
Yeah, no, it says everyone gets 5 new cards.
Okay.
But it doesn't say that you discard your hand. So I guess if you hang on to things, you get to keep them.
Okay.
So I have my 3 evidence. I will read them out loud. I think initially that it's fake because the school librarian said the story is fake.
Okay.
But I didn't find any grammar mistakes in the story, and the title doesn't seem to include any tricks to grab my attention.
Are we allowed to challenge ones that aren't the ones? Like, could I challenge that?
No, you can only challenge these ones because these ones are around the context.
Oh, okay.
Whereas these are around the actual story. So you can
Right,
challenge my
okay.
interpretation of the story.
So this is immediately a winning round so far, right?
Right
If
now I
nobody-
have 5 points towards me being the correct one this round.
So if I know that I can't win,
Everyone has to drop their evidence.
all evidence
Everyone has to reveal their own best evidence, and then the strongest evidence wins the round.
Okay. Okay. So even if I think that it's not a good idea to put it down, I have to put it down?
It forces everyone else to reveal their own best evidence.
Okay.
But I don't think you have to reveal everything. Like I chose to reveal everything.
Because it says best evidence.
Yeah.
Because like,
You-
if I know I'm going to lose, why don't I just put a plus down?
No, I think it wants you to get rid of your highest card in relationship to
Oh,
this, is the idea that I'm getting, but it's letting you keep your +1s.
Oh, okay, that's-
Because I have a feeling that that's actually how you like sneak out wins, is like everyone
Yeah.
has like +3s, but then you can play like a +1 on top of
Okay.
it.
Okay.
I want my point.
I'm just going to put this +3. A fact-checking website says this story is real.
Okay.
Okay.
The librarian said it was fake. If you have a card to play, you have to play it. If you don't have a card to play,
I mean, I just have a +1.
You don't have to play +1s though, right? I thought that's what you just said.
you only have to play one card. Is what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because this forces everyone to drop their best evidence. So if your best evidence is a +1, which it is, because I know your hand, that's why I went in. Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, this story doesn't seem like it's trying to make you feel a certain way.
Okay. So what this means is you've all submitted your evidence. Does anybody want to challenge any of the ones on the table?
I mean, you're not going to win anyway.
You ain't worth challenging.
No, I mean, I think that these are correct, actually.
Okay, to figure who won, out of all the points for the evidence cards that each player has on the table, play with the highest number of points wins the round. So I have 5 points, you guys have 1, you have 3, so I win the round. All these cards get discarded. I can't reach them. Thank you so much. We then reshuffle all the cards and deal everyone new 5 new ones. So I guess
So these get shuffled in.
it says reshuffle all the evidence cards and deal each player 5 new ones. Yeah, so I lied to you. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Would it have made a difference?
I was holding on to something, but that's all right.
Would you have used it there? Would it
I
help you
would
win?
have used it if my turn had come around, but it's okay. I think you jumped the gun, so
Apologies.
it's all good.
Those all have to be shuffled as well, except for the evidence card, which
This one goes away.
the new story goes away.
All right. Cool.
All these get shuffled, and then we flip a new news story. Would you like to read the new news story as we do all the shuffling?
Yes, of course. The future of sheep bells. Apple releases the iColor with geolocation features.
Of sheep bells. I heard cheap bells, and I was like, is there like a bell expense problem here? Where's it from? Bart
Fitzgerald.
What's the name of the news site?
Barn Tech News.
Barn Tech News. Okay. I was like trying to read that upside down. I was like,
Barn Tech News. Okay.
Okay. I mean, I feel like we're kind of getting how this
Legit.
game works now.
Mhm.
The point
Yeah.
system's a bit confusing, but I think we're there. 5-5. Okay. Our 4 contexts for the round are evidence. We shuffle these, yeah. Evidence trail, other news sources, sources' previous posts, and sources' social media profile are the context for this story. That's what the story itself is doing, I guess.
I can't play more than one action card per.
One action card per round, yeah.
Okay.
So here's the deck. So winner goes first? Yeah, take that. I'm not gonna use an action card. No, I am. I'm gonna do this one because I can. I discard the current news story and draw a new one.
That's the one that I was going to use because I saw you guys were building up to it.
Yeah.
time.
Oh, you were gonna. Oh, that would have messed with us. Wimbledon, more like Wimbledon. The shocking truth behind Green Meadows star player by A. Yearling on allsports.wordpress.com. And then I'll draw a card and end my turn there.
Okay. All right, I don't like what you're brewing over there. I'm gonna look at your hand and take a card.
I will deny that.
Oh.
Okay. And then I get to draw, and then I get to choose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I am going to not present evidence.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to say that I wasn't doing that either.
Yeah.
Okay, Leo, what are you doing?
I'm drawing 2 cards from the evidence action deck.
Ooh. Okay. Power play over here.
Yeah. Crap.
It is brand new.
Yeah.
I opened it this morning for this.
Okay, cool. And I'm not gonna present any evidence. this
Okay.
round.
No, you're drawing it. You can draw one more because that was your action to
All
draw,
right.
right? So you can draw one more first.
Cool.
I'm a little worried about that hand size over there. I'm not going to play an action card, so I'm just going to draw. And then I'm going to not present evidence.
All right. All right. I'm gonna steal from your hand.
Okay.
Without looking.
Unless you have a deny one of your actions. Ah, chaos.
All right. Sheesh. Sheesh. I'm gonna draw in my turn.
Okay. He's got a lot of cards.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous. What's the play,
Um,
Leo?
I'm gonna draw another 2 cards.
Oh my goodness.
The action
Oh
deck.
my goodness. The maniacal laugh of Leo.
And I guess I'm gonna go right away and present some evidence. Let's see here.
Saw that coming. They probably have like 1,000 things. Did you draw one more, by the way?
Oh
before?
no, I didn't. Good point. Yeah. Okay. So this is my evidence over here.
Mm-hmm.
Can I play anything else? Let me just make sure. No. Okay. This is my evidence.
Okay, what's your evidence? That's a lot of cards.
Right. So I think it's fake because there are no links or supporting evidence included in this story.
Okay.
Also think it's fake because the source does not have a verified badge on Instagram. And I think it's real because this source has a verified badge on Twitter.
That's really funny, actually.
Yeah.
I had a similar situation
Okay.
where, because the hand's going away, I can just play both
Yeah,
of those. It doesn't matter, and I'm gonna lose. I think the domain name doesn't look suspicious, but I also think that the domain name looks suspicious.
Perfect when that comes together. Well, it makes you feel better. I think it's fake because the quotes mentioned in the story cannot be confirmed. But I didn't find any grammar mistakes, so I think it might be real, but there is somehow a typo in the headline. I don't
There's a
actually.
grammar mistake,
Is there?
sort of. I mean, like, you don't just like put a question like that in grammar.
Are you challenging my card?
Yes, I am.
You're challenging my
Pointlessly.
card. But I feel like I'm going to challenge back pointlessly because we're both losing anyways. I feel like that is meant to catch the audience, and so it's not like a grammar mistake in the traditional sense where it's like intentional flavor.
That's fair.
So this is definitely, you can refute this.
Yeah, I mean, there's no typo there. I mean, there is kind of.
Wimble don't is technically a typo.
It's intentional.
Right?
It's intentional. Yeah.
Okay, well that's me there. Congratulations on your victory.
I
Yay.
was gonna skip your turn. This is this card that I stole,
Yeah.
and I was gonna skip your turn. So it
Every
was,
time when
that
you have an
would've been-
action.
it
that
was
would've been
smart
the
that
play.
you went right away. Yeah.
Okay.
And am I supposed to keep track of my score here or no?
No, because you had the
Okay.
most number total in front of you, and so then you just get a point for winning the round. So you're at
Okay,
1
right,
point, I'm
right,
at 1 point, and unfortunately Owen is at 0 points. But that might change soon. You never know. We have another news story coming in hot off the Lamb presses.
Yeah.
See, meaning this game has more flavor though. Like straight up, like there is
Yeah.
actually like a flavor to the game.
I'm really
It's
enjoying
silly.
the world building.
Yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
world building here, right? Right? Yeah. So we got Daily Sheep Sports telling us that you won't believe it! Triple exclamation marks. Rams to trade their all quotes, all caps star player. This has been written by Jim Woolcoat, which is a great sheep name, and it was published on www.dailysheepsports.net.
Okay.
Okay, and the context for this story are there's an expert opinion on it. It has a full website. It sources previous posts, and it leaves an evidence trail.
Right. The expert being Jim
Woolcoat himself is the expert.
Make sure you have 5 there.
All right.
I think so. I see 5. Okay. Ooh, what a set of cards. You guys better be nervous. Leo, you get to go
Oh my
first because you won.
Okay. Okay. Owen, I'm gonna look at your hand and choose one card from it.
Seems like a pretty good decision. I have no idea. Okay, I draw a card? You just draw a card.
No, right. I always forget. Okay, I'm not gonna present any evidence.
Okay. I'm going to draw, I'm not going to play an action card. I'm going to draw a card, and I'm not going to reveal any evidence.
All right. So you said you had good cards, and then you stole one of my cards. So, because I have more credible information there, I'm going to skip your next turn.
Nice. Nice. Get skipped, bro. What are you going to do now, huh?
I'm gonna
sit there?
play shutdown.
So cancels it?
So it
Whoa, I'm
cancels
going to
it.
shut down your shutdown.
Ah, no.
Okay.
Counter smells like crazy.
What is this?
That's funny.
I see magic again.
Right?
Cool.
Look, we're laughing at this game. I don't think we laughed once in the last game.
Huge improvement.
I'll pass my turn.
I think I'm glad I did them in this order, too.
I guess.
Yeah, your turn skips, so just sit there.
I guess I wanted to pass it.
You know what? Actually, Owen and I think, have a teamwork going on here. So I would like for you to reveal your hand to us.
Hey.
Oh, okay. So here it goes.
Yeah, that was the one that was stolen.
Totally stole that one.
Okay.
That's a good hand.
That's not that bad of a hand. I would see that. Okay, you can unreveal it. I'm going to draw a card. I totally forgot it was in his hand. I think I'm going to submit evidence. I don't know what you have.
It's bad. I'm fucked. It's bad.
Well, I already said I was going to do it, so you didn't have to tell me that. But my evidence, I think that this story is fake, and I'll give you 2 good reasons why. Everything this source posts is similar. It's like the same thing constantly. It's always sports and sheep. And the quotes mentioned in this story cannot be confirmed at all.
Okay.
It's a lot of bull crap over there.
There are no grammar mistakes.
I love that that's a card. I love that people are just like, no, we can trust it because the grammar is good.
Well, I have a ton of evidence.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's real because this source's about page is informative and well written.
Did I mess up this?
The title doesn't include any tricks to grab your attention.
Oh, I'm gonna challenge you on that.
Yeah. But I also think it's fake because the title uses dramatic punctuation. And I also think it's fake because there are no links or supporting evidence included in this story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to
Challenging
challenge
this?
that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to defend our challenge on that? Do we actually have to debate this? Are you gonna defend that right now?
I think all caps and 3 exclamation points are pretty standard.
Yeah,
I mean,
I feel like
at
the
this point,
sentence,
we're
you
like-
won't believe it.
At this point, we're pretty much desensitized as audience to all this clickbaity tricks. It doesn't really make a difference.
Okay, my counter argument is the sentence, you won't believe it, with 3 exclamation marks in all caps is very much trying to get my attention. Shall we vote?
Fair.
I vote that card goes away.
Okay.
But actually, you still win because I
win.
totally did the math wrong when I made you reveal your hand. That was my bad.
All right.
Okay, so that's 2 points for Leo, 0 for Owen, and 1 for me. We're getting
Killing it.
intense over here.
Let's see if I can properly pile shuffle this time.
Ooh, yeah, do
I'm not
it.
very good at
Show me those talents. If I was on the camera right now, I'd zoom in really hard
Hold on.
with a real close angle. Let's see it. Not bad, not bad.
Good.
Better than nothing.
Yeah, that's not. I can't pile shuffle, so every pile shuffle is better than pile shuffle. Okay.
Full shuffle.
Oh, what's the difference?
Pile shuffle is when you.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we have our new news article from the Green Meadows Inquirer. Amelia Shearhart's jump over the paddock sets a new record for Green Meadows by J.B. Hornsmith. And we have an evidence trail, we have some expert opinion, we have some reverse image searching, and we have social media profiles in this post. Ooh, wow.
Wow.
What a hand.
Good poker face.
I'm really bad at poker. I don't know why, but I never seem to win. People always seem to know when I'm bluffing. So you won. So you're up first, Leo.
Okay. I'm gonna play my action card, and you have to reveal your hand to everyone.
There's some
That's actually pretty
generally.
decent.
I mean, these three are. Oh no, that's a good one. Yeah.
These three are all here.
Oh yeah, true.
This is not.
And a
And this ignores whatever you guys try to do to me.
Sheesh.
Which I should have just done.
That's okay. That's
Good
okay.
point. Okay, and I'm not gonna reveal my hand, I guess.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to. I don't. Are you supposed to?
No, I don't. I'm not gonna
Oh, the
submit any
evidence?
evidence. That's what
I don't think you're going to turn this round because I'm going to draw a card because I can, and then I'm going to reveal my evidence. So I have four pieces of evidence for this one. I have that this source has a verified badge on Instagram, which the previous sources didn't. So this is an important upkeep in how true it is. I also think it may be true because Google reverse image search found that the image in the story was not taken out of context. So that's really good. But then I also looked at a different image, and a Google reverse image search actually found that another one was taken out of context, so it's a bit confusing. But a fact-checking website said that the story was fake. So.
The school librarian said the story was fake, and the URL has a weird ending.
It's true. .com is crazy.
It's
It's insanity.
Who uses that? Okay, so my pieces of evidence are that
It's
insane. Real because the school librarian says so, and fake because it uses dramatic punctuation, and
there's what? There's one
no punctuation.
The apostrophe
is the dramatic punctuation.
And the title sounds really sensational.
I like that these two librarians are
fighting it out. There's like a forum board for the librarians that are just like, nah, this one's crazy wrong. I feel like I don't need to challenge either of your things. This hand was kind of just a guaranteed win.
Yeah,
pretty much. Good job.
Oh, thank you. I worked really hard on that one. The mechanics.
Yeah. You can shuffle this time.
Okay.
So that it's unbiased. It's okay, I keep losing though, so it's...
I know, I kind of want to be like, we do have to stop after this next round, so I'm hoping that you get a point here. Well, it's weird, because if you get a point, then we tie, because we're 2-2 right now. And if you don't get a point, we'll have a winner. So I'm hoping you get a point.
We'll see.
I like as many people.
I've pretty much had a deterministically like set up that I've pretty much lost every round without question. That's okay.
I feel like they should also have first player not be who wins and just keep going clockwise.
Yeah. I think that's a good
idea. Cheapentertainment.com says the new Spider Sheep movie currently in production. Amazing. I'm here for Spider Sheep. Do you think Spider Sheep, like, would it work like Peter Parker where it like shoots stuff off its hooves? Or do you think it's like it uses like wool as the spider?
I like that.
The wool?
I like that.
Yeah. Spins the wool.
Do you think this sheep wears a mask so that the other sheep doesn't know that it's Spider Sheep?
Sheep are really stupid.
But not the lamboozled ones. Well, actually, no, I think that's the whole point of the game, is that the sheep are really okay. Wow, what a hand. So, we have evidence trail, expert opinion, reverse image search, and sources previous posts. I'm first?
I believe so.
I'm going to take my pick at Leo's hand.
Okay, do you get to look?
Yeah, I get to look at your hand and choose a card.
Oh, okay.
So I just play it right and look at their hand. Yeah, choose one card. Okay, well, I don't want this. I don't want this. This looks promising. This doesn't look promising. I want this one.
No.
And
My only
I
goal.
feel like I want to give you a turn, but I'm going to go submit evidence after I draw a card.
Yeah, that's
Because I have 4 of the same.
And I've lost.
So just so you know, this I have real fake right here. So on one hand, the source posts diverse content and doesn't seem to be signing with anyone. But on the other hand, this source shares also news from a variety of perspectives. But to counter that, everything the source posts is very similar, and the source is always attacking the same sheep. It really hates on spider sheep. I tried to make like a Doc Ock reference in relationship to sheep, and I couldn't come up with one. Doc Ram, it's too weak.
A goat or something.
And I also think that there are grammatical mistakes in the headline.
Wrong.
You can't challenge till you've shown your evidence first.
The domain name looks suspicious, but the URL seems legit. And the quotes mentioned in the story cannot be confirmed.
I only have I have +1s.
It's who shuffled here is really the question.
I think there's a typo in this headline, and that the domain doesn't look suspicious, therefore it's real.
We got questions about the domain over here. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take this back.
But you've clearly won. That's 8 points.
Yeah. Do you want one round where you get to start?
No.
You sure?
I'm fine.
Okay, I don't want you to leave this feeling like it was unfair.
I hate this game. I never want to play board games ever, card games
ever again. Card games are the worst. Actually, maybe I'll leave this up while we talk about it. How do we feel about this one?
I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah.
It was fun. There were some sort of felt like unnecessary. I mean, like they were necessary for the functioning of the game, but it felt like it was like somewhat convoluted in some regards. Like you can draw first, then you can do this, or you can do this, and I don't know how to simplify it, but I think that it would. The core meat of the game is like we play these, and then it's like, are we gonna play evidence? Are we gonna? That is the core interest of this game is, are you gonna play evidence or not? Who's gonna do it first? And I think if the game focused more on that, it'd be more interesting. But that's a very minor thing. It's an enjoyable game.
Yeah, I think actually the rules could have just, because they laid it out a bit for like your concern there of like, A, play an action card, B, pick a new from the evidence deck, then end your turn, and then it goes to C. Or it could have just been like, A, play an action card if you want, B, draw a card, and then C can be submit evidence or end your turn. Like that alone makes that way clearer. And then I found that like the discussion of the drop was really convoluted. But please continue.
Yeah. I think like I really enjoyed like the generative narrative aspect of the game. I think that was very entertaining and fun. Like it seemed like no matter what I played, it was funny and like interesting. Yeah, mechanically I thought like the explanation was more convoluted than the actual gameplay turned out to be.
Yeah.
Like once you get into it, it's pretty straightforward.
I would ask them to fix this a little bit.
Yeah, and then I felt like just in terms of like the game actions that I'm taking, I did feel like I was just trying to match the picture with the cards in my hand. You know, like I wasn't really paying much attention to the content of the cards or the effect that they may have on the narrative.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's much more interesting if it's all points towards fake or all points towards
it should
real.
be that you should be arguing for a particular point, right? Because then nobody gets to sweep with a giant thing like you just did there, right?
Yeah.
You have to be arguing for.
And
one
you have to
side.
then discuss the article and the cards a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like that, because I like the idea of like debating some of these cards.
I think you should be able to debate on any cards. I think that would. I mean, maybe that gets a little bit.
It could get kingmaky.
It would go long. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but I like that as a mechanic for a game like this.
Yeah.
I agree that it feels a bit too much like a matching and a math game for what it's actually trying to do.
Yeah.
That I would make it at least that you have to choose all fake or all real. Because that felt a bit weird to me to have it that way.
But then I kind of get why they kept the arguing for fake and real aspect to it. I think that adds to the funniness.
It does.
The end result,
it also shows you like how convoluted it can be to like try to figure out if something's real or
Yeah.
fake out there, which maybe isn't their goal though. Like if their goal is supposed to give me like media literacy skills and I leave this feeling like there's never an answer, like maybe that's not a success. I do think that it's doing a good job at staying apolitical while still teaching like the skills that it wants to teach. Like it's hinting that disinformation might be in some of these articles and stuff, but it's not taking political stances on it, which would make this game then usable in classroom spaces where you're a little bit worried about how certain students might react to talking about disinformation, or even in like family situations if you really wanted to like talk about media literacy like with your family. Though again, I think I would consider playing this with family, but like I'd probably just want to play something else instead.
Yeah, that's such a problem with educational games where it's they've got like this seed of this is you're supposed to learn, and that sometimes
it alters it.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's no mechanic in this that is so interesting that I just want to play around with it. You know what I mean?
I was trying to think just now of like any educational games that have ever been enjoyable and popular. Do you guys remember Trivia Crack?
Trivia Crack?
I don't think
No.
I've ever played that.
Maybe it was just like a Ontario thing when I was in elementary school or high school. But people played like it was like trivia on your phone, and you could gain points and compare to people. It was gamified trivia. That's what it was. But it was like it swept through.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed it. I missed it in my Ontario schooling.
And for that one, it was just like that one looked like a social media. That's why it was just appealing visually and
I do think this game like visually is good.
Yeah.
Like I think like the cards themselves aren't the rule book you can love, but the cards themselves aren't that confusing to look at. They all make sense. Like when you read the action, you knew what the action did. The visuals on them are cute. They're engaging. The art kind of draws you in a little bit. I do like how they have this like really fine print on all the news stories. And just like as you were saying, the flavor of kind of what's happening here is interesting. Personally, if I wanted to make this more replayable, like if I wanted to actually like bring this out as like a party game with friends, we're like, we're gonna like debate the truth of a headline, which is not the best thing. Like I don't like that I lose my hand every round. But I also can see it being broken of like getting to keep your hand every round, because then you just build up to sweep.
Yeah, like if you draw like skip turns, you could just like be cutting somebody out of the game the entire
So
time.
I actually like the idea of like, and this is just me because I am a sucker for Yu-Gi-Oh, but I would love to see like a face down card mechanic where every round you can choose to put one card face down in front of you for evidence. Like you slowly build up your evidence each round, and then you can choose when you want to reveal them.
Trap card.
Or you do it as like every round you can take one card from your hand before you reshuffle and put it face down in front of you, and that stays face down in front of you until you play it. And so you can like slowly build up just like a few cards.
Like something to save. Like
You can always save like one from each hand,
That's a
because
good
it
idea.
felt weird to have like
Right.
evidence that didn't even apply to this story at all, right? And like, I mean, those are just like little mechanics that I think like there's something around like the reveal that I think is more interesting than this lets it be.
If we're taking notes from card games, like messing with this deck could also be a huge thing. Like there's a classic thing in Magic where you can mess with the top of your deck and you can reorder the cards so that you know what you're drawing next turn. But because we have a shared deck, if we're messing with the top of the deck, we're messing with other people's draws
it'd be cool.
too. And so you can play like mind games on top of mind games, right?
Yeah, and also with like, I would love to see action cards that recycle into here.
Yeah.
I actually probably would have separated action and evidence because this deck is already, evidence is already RNG'd enough. Like it's randomized enough that you don't even know if you're gonna pull what you need for this round, right? Because there's 8 of these. So every round you could just
Have no matching
you have a 50%
cards.
chance of pulling your matching evidence, give or take. And then you might just pull an action that you can't even use that round anyways. Where like, if I get one action card each round, but there's a bit more choice and they're not always denies. Because the deny feels fun once in a while, but if it was constant skip your turns and deny your action, and all, like it would feel probably unfun for everyone. But I feel like that would actually allow for this game to feel meatier. Because then you can mess with the draw deck too, like stuff like that of like, you know, the evidence cards, so you like rearrange the top so that they get useless ones and you get a good one. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Or like stealing other people's cards, like a one-time action to like after the drop steal somebody's card.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, or like swap the evidence reveal, like you swap your evidence with someone else. That'd be crazy. Anyway, like that would
Lots
I
of
feel
options.
like,
Lots of
I feel like that would be funner, like more fun.
Totally,
I feel like that would be more enjoyable. But I didn't hate this.
Yeah, I mean the fact that we're able to discuss these options is already something that the other game didn't have.
Yeah.
Right? Like there wasn't much
Totally.
to build off of.
That game needed way more. That game feels like it's out of playtest and not ready to be done. This feels like it's done, but you could make it. You could improve it.
An expansion or something.
Yeah.
I would say all of this just as an aside. I do have to remember that like the average player doesn't understand game mechanics the same way that we do. And so the more mechanics you add, the more complex it gets for the general audience. So I actually think like if we're thinking about running this in a classroom or in a library or something like that, it's probably as complex as it needs to be for it to succeed.
True.
So for that, I actually think it's doing a good job. That would be my overall HUD. So I would give it, if we're doing ratings now, an 8 or 9 out of 10 for an educational game. I would rate it lower than a lot of board games and card games that I play if we're thinking commercial, but if I'm sticking on the education side of things, I would give this a pretty high rating, around 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think you're right. For an education game, it's pretty entertaining. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 7 because I'm not like these are examples of like how you might combat disinformation, but it's not. But this is in a sheep context world, right? Like this isn't. There's no practical examples. Like there's no card that says, you know, go on a site and compare it to this other site. I mean, there's some of these that are actionable. Like you can actually do these things. But I worry that like the other game, we're going to forget some of these in a week, right?
Yeah, well, and that's my next question is, what do you think the learning goal of this game was? Do you think, like, I don't want to, like, infer. What do you think you were supposed to learn with playing this? Because it says on the box, media literacy card game, but that's still very general.
It's just, yeah, media literacy in the sense of, like, comparing good things and bad things about websites. It's like website check.
Websites and quality of sources and I don't know, the general cultural mechanics by how news stories are presented, you know, the fact that there's so many librarians that either think that they are accurate or not, or stuff like that, you know, of like kind of training you to look at the wider picture and context of news headlines.
Yeah, it's very headline focused. And as an aside, as someone who's played other games, all the other board game ones that I played, like the physical games, minus Graduation actually, and the game that I made myself, which I don't include for this, are all headline-based games. Like they're all making headlines, rearranging headlines, producing headlines in some capacity. So it's really interesting that the board games seem to always like gravitate towards that as like a key piece to engage with. But I actually, I think after hearing what you were saying, Owen, I would actually change slightly my rating number, because when I actually think about the learning of the game, it's kind of weak. Because you could just play this game looking at numbers and matching and not actually read what the cards do.
Yeah.
Like you can ignore the nature of the actual learning components.
This doesn't matter, right?
None of the little facts
and because
at the bottom.
and even technically the fake word doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And because all that matters on the card is the symbol and the number, you're not forced to engage in the process, where it's doing a thing of like the information's there, but it's forcing me as a player to actually unpack it, which, you know, I can do, we can do, but will everyone do that? And probably not, unless they're being, you know, brought in, like they're brought alongside with facilitation to do so. Where like, if I'm thinking about this kind of model, I would rather have like turns that reflect the process of kind of what these cards are telling me to do. So like if I'm supposed to be like finding the source, what does it actually look like? If I'm supposed to be like, you know, trying evidence trail, what does that actually look like? And that would be a very different game anyways, but like our actions don't actually match with what they're trying to teach us. Like we're not actually doing the media literacy actions. We're just playing cards that say someone else has done it, right? A librarian fact checked it, or a thing fact checked it, or like, these ones are actually perhaps the most pertinent because you debate them. Those are arguably the best card in the game from a learning perspective compared to these, because these just become like a catch-all. I win. They have an Instagram verified, which that being worth 2, let's just point out. I would have made those 1 and just put Instas and Twitters on those cards instead.
Especially with Twitter stuff these days.
Right. Oh, it's crazy. That's an aside. Let me just go to my notes. We talked about the skills. Who do you think the target audience for this game is? Because it says 11+, but that doesn't tell me the target audience.
It feels like you do need some level of understanding of how to do some basic fact checking to contextualize some of what these things are. I don't really know if an 11-year-old would care. But I mean, like I wouldn't have cared as a kid, but maybe people are more media savvy these days. Younger, I mean.
That was a very like
Starting a
the
meme.
youth these days kind of comment.
I don't know. I'm
That's
not that
funny.
old. But,
No, I know you're not. That's why that's really funny.
Yeah.
It's like you're in undergrad. You're a youth, my friend.
21. But I mean, it's effective, but I think that it requires a little bit of cognitive power that somebody who's not really even left elementary school yet might not have. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if you want to engage with more than just the in-game universe of the sheep,
Yeah.
right? I feel like the target audience might be parents who have kids in elementary school that are navigating the internet on a daily basis, and
Yeah, a parent could run this with their kid.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually think I argue like if I'm a parent, I could probably make like an 8-year-old or 7-year-old actually play this because of what we're talking about, where like the matching matters, and then as the parent, I just have to do all the reading for them.
True.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
What you're getting at though of like who would actually be able to play this on their own or like with a small group and actually get something out of it, I think it's probably more like 12, 14.
Yeah.
When they've actually had some like conversations about this stuff that are meaningful. So I see that's where that number comes from, but like kids are more resilient at games than I think some people give them credit for, as long as they don't have to read a lot of text, which arguably you don't for this game.
No.
So I mean that's something. This one didn't come unless I missed it. Oh. There's no questions with it. Yeah, sometimes they have like a little question card. This one didn't come with one. That took us decently long to play, and we still weren't done. But like we found the core gameplay loop relatively quickly. But that was about 30 minutes of us playing it, and I feel like we probably had another 30 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
The narrative, we said the narrative, we like the narrative. We like the.
I do.
Would we say this has
Yeah.
a narrative?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I agree. Points number correction system. Is there anything that you would want to change beyond some of the mechanics that we talked about? Are there things that like concern you with the game or that you want to alter?
The fact that there are only, I mean, 8 is a lot of these, but sometimes you just get shut out of the game, speaking from experience. Maybe it'd be interesting to see more diversity of these so that you could even gain maybe some pity points, and then like maybe if you have a whole bunch of like 1 or 2 points, but they're spread out everywhere, maybe you could rise up that way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, but there are 8. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd be more interested in expanding this.
Yeah.
And like have that in like a small set of text. I mean, I guess like this is supposed to be the news story in here.
I think it's just lorem ipsum.
It's lorem ipsum.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even read it.
No.
Yeah, I think it is.
No, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Did you know lorem ipsum is actually real text?
What do you mean?
It's actually Latin, and it's a speech from Caesar, I think.
But like it's actual, it mean like the words
Like
actually make
lorem-
sense
they-
together.
They actually mean something.
Because I knew they were Latin. I just didn't know if
I believe it's translated from an actual speech. Yeah.
Really
Oh, cool.
interesting.
I mean,
not
fact check
so
me. Find out.
Apple.
Yeah. Let's not spread misinformation right now. Okay, well, I mean that's technically the end of the 2 games, but I always like to do a debrief of like, first off, thank you for being here. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
How did you find this experience?
It was fun. It was casual. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
How do you feel about media literacy games overall? You've played 2 now.
Uh-huh.
Do you think they're doing what they're trying to do?
Overall, I'd say no.
No.
I think they either don't reach, at least from the 2 examples that we saw today, they don't reach like an engagement level that I would like want to continue playing on my own, or they don't necessarily hit the lesson that they're trying to convey. You know?
Yeah, I hear you. It's fine. Nothing well. I hear that. What about you?
I think that a lot of it has to do with intention. So if you're interested in something like this and you want to play it and people can get entertained by a lot pretty easily, And so if you're really focusing on this, yeah, I think something like this, maybe not graduation, but something like this, you could seriously enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
However, most people might not have that intention. Most people probably won't. And so that might be where it fails.
Okay, and then my last question, which I think you were just getting out there, since you are both in this game space and we're talking about this now, do you think games have a space in media literacy education and or disinformation in general?
I mean, yeah, I'm a big proponent of like the especially considering history, like the being able to consider or having it be important to consider the history between games, personal computing, and the military industrial complex. And especially with today, we see a lot of military games that are, in my opinion, propaganda, literally just recruitment propaganda. And so yeah, there's some examples of that, and there's more than just military stuff. It's other propagandies, but not as much as some industries, but it's there, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that like misinformation and the information literacy as a theme is like very salient in contemporary times in general. So games do have a lot of potential of exploring that realm, and I think it can be a very entertaining and engaging theme for a game as well. So I do think
I mean, I'm biased in the sense that this is what my work is looking at, but I'm always curious to think about, like, when we play these kind of games, I'm always like, is a game the best way to talk about this? Is this the best tool that we can use for this? And I mean, the military stuff is actually really interesting because the game that I made has been recently gotten some interest from some militaries for their similar purposes that you're talking about. And I've been sitting on that for a little bit, wondering, that theme around media literacy is kind of a direction that they're moving into. And that's just a larger kind of space that I'll be talking about and getting into later on. But either way, it's something to sit and chew on. But thank you both for being here. Thank you to the fourth space for running the live stream for me, because you're incredible people, and I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for anyone who was in the audience now or during this, and for anyone who watches this recording one day, which will probably be me when I analyze this again in a month or two. Okay, that's it from us. We're gonna sign off.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
wonderful,
Yay.
wonderful. My
This was
computer's about to
Thank
die.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they'll let me know when it's done. I'm gonna just sit here and smile, smiling away, smiling away.